I am 23 years old, and that means I am old enough to have seen the end of CRT TVs. I used to have one of these puppies in my room as a kid, and on this TV, I would watch Adult Swim late at night when I definitely shouldn't have been. This started my love for Family Guy, and whenever it was on, I would end up watching it, even if it was an episode I already had seen. Every once in a while, there would be this other show on. It wasn't nearly as funny in my 10-year-old mind, and looked pretty boring. Whenever I saw this show on, I changed the channel or go do something else. It took a Fortnite collab of all things for me to finally check out this show. After watching 8 seasons of King of the Hill, I can safely say it is my favorite Fox animated show by a wide margin. I used to think I would never like watching something like a slice of life anime, mostly because of the kind of person that usually watches those. But after watching King of the Hill, I realized maybe slice of life anime isn't all that bad. I think a good place to start would be a comparison to another big Fox animated program. The comparison will be to Bob's Burgers. By no means do I think the show sucks eggs, but after watching King of the Hill, I ended up liking that better. What I got out of Bobby Boy's show is that it's pretty slow-paced and fairly down-to-earth. It can be funny at moments, but is one of the best shows to watch in the background I've ever seen. It's never too funny, it's never too engaging, but it's not bad or awful by any means. The perfect show to half pay attention to while you're doing something else. I like Bob's Burgers for the most part, but the kids are easily the worst part of the show for me, and I end up usually skipping episodes if the episode synopsis seems to have the kids in the A-plot. King of the Hill is a very similar show, but everything that Bob's Burgers does, King of the Hill does way better. King of the Hill, for the most part, is also a pretty slow-paced show, but where King of the Hill blows past Bob's Burgers is by having genuinely hilarious bits, not having any annoying main characters, and having heartwarming moments. Unlike the Bob's Burgers kids, Bobby is actually fun to watch and isn't constantly screaming. He does scream, just not all the time. At the end of the day, I still like King of the Hill and Bob's Burgers, and I guess that is a long-winded way of saying I get the same slow slice-of-life feeling out of both shows. I just think King of the Hill is leagues better, and I hate myself for not watching it earlier. King of the Hill has extremely varied and unique voices for the main cast and supporting characters.
It has a rear bag option, and it's made of ultralight space-age materials.
My sloppy Joe is all sloppy and no joke.
And God said to me, don't do it. But you know what? I knew better.
Can you send a 13-year-old boy a bouquet of flowers? Is that appropriate?
I got my shins blown off by a Japan man's machine gun. So don't come crying to me with your problems.
I feel like for animated shows, the quality of the voice acting isn't touched on enough. This is an extremely important aspect for an animated show because you have to inject character into these fake people and bring them to life. I really ended up liking Hank Hill's character and his love for the simple things in life. I am by no means a patriotic or manly man in almost any sense of the word. I ended up appreciating Hank's love for things like his country and sports teams. I ended up confused after watching some of these episodes because I never had interest in any of these things. Why was I caring about these things I've never given a single thought to? It's because Hank is a very engaging and fun character to follow. Hank is an older guy who really believes strongly in his way of living and is dismissive of most things that go against this. Whether it be his son acting in a way he believes isn't manly enough or, in his words, not right, or someone not being his exact idea of what a man or woman should be. Hank will most of the time come around to things that shake up what he considers normal by the end of the episode, though. It would also be extremely easy to have a true red-blooded American like Hank have all the negative, stereotypical traits you'd expect from someone in his shoes. He isn't a racist or a homophobe at all from what I've watched. He never looks down on people that are different from him in these ways. Off the top of my head, the only quote-unquote racist thing Hank has done is not understand that his Laotian neighbors are Laotian and not Japanese or Chinese for a bit when first meeting them.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I live in California last 20 years, but first come from Laos.
Huh?
Laos.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
Ugh.
And this doesn't come from a place of mockery, but a lack of knowledge from him living in a small town in Texas. With King of the Hill being made in the 90s, I was expecting a ton of edgy jokes and some "you couldn't make that today" comments from people who've watched the show. When really the show doesn't have any of that. The show likes to poke fun at everything and everyone. The episode plots can get a bit crazy, like when Hank's friend Bill got drunk and stole a tank, but for the vast majority of the time, the episodes are simple and have a small scope, which I really enjoy. An example of some of my favorite episodes are the one where Hank, his friends, and the neighbor's kid Connie start a band together and all bond over music, or when their niece Luann gets interested in making a religious puppet show, and Hank helps her out, even though it's embarrassing for him. I guess I'm fine with slower paced and down-to-earth shows if the characters are good enough, and in this show, they sure as hell are. The only character I think that got a bit too flanderized as the series went on is Hank's wife, Peggy. She gets her competitiveness and ego cranked up to 100 as the show progresses. These were always a part of her character, but it seems like she slowly lost control of these aspects of herself and would always fly off the handle if she was challenged in either one of these ways later on. As does every show that lasts a long time, the original run did have a dip in quality as the seasons went by. Unlike The Simpsons or Family Guy, it wasn't a dip off a cliff into the abyss. While it is noticeable, it isn't unbearable in any way. As of making this video, the reboot is not out, but I'm cautiously optimistic about it. The animation quality seems to be the only thing holding it back for me right now. It is very stiff and obviously tweened. The creator of King of the Hill, Mike Judge, still seems to be able to make a good show though. The Beavis and Butthead reboot was pretty damn good from what I've seen from it, and he helped make one of my favorite shows I've ever seen on Adult Swim called Common Side Effects. Check it out if you haven't seen it, it's very good. He's had a fairly good batting average lately, so it's possible the reboot ends up being good. Please, for the love of God, don't be as bad as the Futurama reboot. Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll make a video about the reboot when that comes out. Maybe if it's worth talking about. See you guys next time. Bye.